Keanu Reeves walked into the bank on a Tuesday morning. No bodyguard, no limousine waiting outside, just jeans, a faded jacket, and a backpack that had seen better days. The bank was quiet at this hour. Only a few customers scattered across the marble floor. Soft music played from hidden speakers. The air smelled faintly of coffee and printed paper. He approached the counter quietly. His footsteps barely made a sound. The teller sat behind the glass partition, scrolling through something on her computer screen. Her nameplate read, Angela. She had the tired look of someone who'd been doing this job for years. She barely looked up when his shadow fell across her desk. "How can I help you?" Her voice was polite but automatic. The kind of politeness that comes from repetition, not genuine interest. Keanu spoke softly. "I'd like to make a withdrawal." She nodded, typed something without making eye contact. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. Amount: $1 million. Her fingers froze on the keyboard. The clicking stopped. The silence stretched between them like a held breath. She looked up slowly. Her eyes moved from the computer screen to his face, then down to his clothes. The worn boots with scuffed leather, the jeans with a small tear near the knee, the jacket that looked like it had been his companion for a decade. Her expression changed. Confusion first, then disbelief. "Excuse me." Keanu's voice remained calm, patient, as if he'd just asked for the most ordinary thing in the world. $1 million. Cash. Angela stared at him. Her mind was racing. She'd handled large withdrawals before, of course. Wealthy clients made them all the time. But those clients arrived differently. They came with appointments, with assistance, with the unmistakable aura of money. This man looked like he'd just walked off the street. Her training kicked in. Protocol for unusual requests. Red flags for potential fraud. Security procedures. Her eyes scanned him again, the unshaven face, the simple clothes. The calm demeanor that somehow didn't match what he was asking for. She didn't recognize him. And what happened next changed everything. And would you believe someone asking for this much money if they looked like this? Part 2, 400 words. Engagement questions ad credu 138 PM 44 PR2 skipi. The teller's name was Angela. She'd worked at this bank for 11 years. Seen all types of people walk through those doors. Wealthy clients in tailored suits who treated her like she was invisible. Celebrities with assistants handling everything, never speaking directly to staff. Elderly customers who counted every dollar with shaking hands. Young couples opening their first joint accounts, nervous and excited. But this? A man in worn-out clothes asking for $1 million in cash. This was different. Red flags were going up in her mind like fireworks. "Sir, do you have an account with us?" Keanu smiled gently, the kind of smile that reached his eyes, warm, unguarded. "Yes." His voice was quiet, almost apologetic for the inconvenience. "Account number." He recited it from memory. No fumbling for a card. No checking his phone. Just numbers spoken clearly, confidently. Angela typed it in with fingers that had suddenly become less certain. She hit enter. Waited. The system took a moment to load. That spinning circle on the screen seemed to turn slower than usual. Her screen loaded, and what she saw made her blood run cold. The account was real. The balance was there, displayed in bold numbers that seemed impossible. A 47 million. Her breath caught. But something else caught her eye immediately. Flagged transactions in red. Security notes attached to the account. Risk alerts blinking at the bottom of the screen. Her supervisor had left warnings. Notes about large cash withdrawals. Instructions to verify identity thoroughly. This wasn't normal. Nothing about this situation was normal. Angela's heart started beating faster. She'd been trained for situations like this. Potential money laundering, fraud, identity theft. She looked up at the man again. He stood there patiently. No impatience, just waiting. "Sir, I need to speak with my manager." Keanu nodded slowly. Of course. No argument, no anger, just quiet acceptance. She stood up quickly, her chair rolling backward. She walked toward the glass office at the far end of the floor, her heels clicking urgently against the polished floor. She could feel his eyes following her, but when she glanced back, he was just standing there, calm, still, like he had all the time in the world. The teller's name was Angela. She'd worked at this bank for 11 years, seen all types of people walk through those doors. Wealthy clients in tailored suits who treated her like she was invisible. Celebrities with assistants handling everything, never speaking directly to staff. Elderly customers who counted every dollar with shaking hands. Young couples opening their first joint accounts, nervous and excited. But this, A man in worn-out clothes asking for $1 million in cash. This was different. Red flags were going up in her mind like fireworks. "Sir, do you have an account with us?" Keanu smiled gently. The kind of smile that reached his eyes, warm, unguarded. Wes. His voice was quiet, almost apologetic for the inconvenience. "Account number." He recited it from memory. No fumbling for a card. No checking his phone. Just numbers spoken clearly, confidently. Angela typed it in with fingers that had suddenly become less certain. She hit enter. Waited. The system took a moment to load. That spinning circle on the screen seemed to turn slower than usual. Her screen loaded, and what she saw made her blood run cold. The account was real. The balance was there, displayed in bold numbers that seemed impossible. 47 million. Her breath caught. But something else caught her eye immediately. Flagged transactions in red, security notes attached to the account, risk alerts blinking at the bottom of the screen. Her supervisor had left warnings, notes about large cash withdrawals, instructions to verify identity thoroughly. This wasn't normal. Nothing about this situation was normal. Angela's heart started beating faster. She'd been trained for situations like this. Potential money laundering, fraud, identity theft. She looked up at the man again. He stood there patiently. No impatience. "Just waiting, sir. I need to speak with my manager." Keanu nodded slowly, of course. No argument. No anger. Just quiet acceptance. She stood up quickly, her chair rolling backward. She walked toward the glass office at the far end of the floor, her heels clicking urgently against the polished floor. She could feel his eyes following her, but when she glanced back, he was just standing there. Calm. Still. Like he had all the time in the world. Have you ever been judged just by your appearance? Would you stay calm if someone doubted you like this? Angela whispered urgently to someone in the glass office. Her hands moved as she spoke, pointing back toward Keanu. Gesturing at her computer screen, her face showed concern mixed with confusion. A man in a pressed suit emerged from the office. The manager, mid-40s, confident stride, the kind of walk that came from years of authority. His suit was expensive, tailored perfectly. His shoes reflected the overhead lights. Everything about him screamed, important person. He approached Keanu with a practiced smile, the smile bank managers give to everyone. Professional, measured, controlled. "Good morning, sir. I understand you're requesting a large withdrawal." His tone was friendly, but there was something underneath it. A subtle edge of doubt, of caution. "That's right." Keanu's response was simple, direct. No extra words. The manager's eyes did what Angela's had done. A quick scan, top to bottom, taking inventory of everything that didn't fit his mental picture of someone with millions in the bank. "May I ask what this is for?" It was phrased as a question, but it felt like an interrogation. Keanu's expression didn't change. His voice remained level, calm. "Does it matter?" The manager's smile tightened just slightly. Most people wouldn't notice. But it was there. A crack in the professional facade. "For amounts this size, we need to verify certain details. Security purposes. You understand." He said it like it was routine, standard procedure. But the subtext was clear. "We don't believe you. The money is mine." 4 words. Stated as simple fact. "I understand, but is there a problem with my account?" Keanu's tone hadn't changed. Still calm, still patient. But there was a firmness now. A quiet strength. The manager glanced back at Angela. She stood by her desk watching, her expression uncertain. He looked back at Keanu. "Please wait here. This will take a few minutes." The manager turned and walked back toward his office. Angela followed. They disappeared behind the glass walls. Through the transparent office walls, Keanu could see them talking, the manager on his phone, Angela pointing at her computer screen, both of them looking serious. 20 minutes passed. Keanu sat down in the waiting area. A row of chairs lined against the wall. Corporate artwork hung above them, motivational posters about building your future and investing in dreams. He sat quietly, hands folded in his lap, not checking his phone, not fidgeting, just waiting. Other customers came and went. A woman in designer clothes approached the counter. Sunglasses pushed up on her head. Designer handbag on her arm. The tellers smiled immediately. Greeted her by name. "Mrs. Patterson, wonderful to see you." She was helped within minutes. A businessman in an expensive watch came next, crisp white shirt, Bluetooth earpiece blinking. He barely acknowledged the teller, just slid his card across. Business account. Usual transfer. Done in 5 minutes. All smiles. An elderly couple needed help with their mortgage paperwork. The staff brought them water, pulled up chairs, took their time explaining everything. All of them were treated with smiles and speed, respect, attention, care. Meanwhile, Keanu remained in the waiting area. No one offered him water. No one checked on him. No one apologized for the wait. To everyone in that bank, he was just someone who didn't belong. Someone suspicious. Someone to be careful around. They saw the worn clothes and made a judgment. They saw the simple appearance and drew a conclusion. They looked at the surface and decided they knew the whole story. Finally, after what felt like forever, the manager returned. But he wasn't alone. 2 security guards walked behind him, both in uniform, both with serious expressions and Mr. Reeves, we need to discuss something in private. The manager's voice had changed. More formal now, more distant. Keanu stood slowly. His face showed no fear, no anger, no frustration, just patience. He followed them toward a back office. Other customers watched, whispered to each other. The door closed behind them. The office was small, corporate. A desk, 3 chairs, certificates on the wall. Keanu sat down. The 2 security guards stood by the door, arms crossed, faces unreadable. The manager sat across from him, placed a folder on the desk between them. Mr. Reeves, we've reviewed your account. His tone was official now, all pretense of friendliness gone. And Keanu's voice remained unchanged, still calm, still patient, as if this was exactly what he'd expected. The manager opened the folder, pulled out several printed pages, account statements, transaction histories, flags and notes highlighted in yellow. There are some inconsistencies we need to address. What kind of inconsistencies? The manager shifted in his chair. Uncomfortable now, like he was about to accuse someone of something serious. Your withdrawal pattern is unusual. Large cash requests, no advance notice, multiple transfers to various organizations. He paused, looking at Keanu carefully. And frankly, sir, he chose his next words carefully. We have concerns about the legitimacy of this request. The words hung in the air. Keanu's eyes narrowed, just slightly. The first real change in his expression since walking into the bank. You think I'm committing fraud? His voice was still quiet. But there was something beneath it now. Not anger, something deeper. Disappointment, maybe. We have to protect our clients. The manager said it like he was doing Keanu a favor, like this suspicion was for his own good. I am your client. 3 words. Simple. Undeniable. The manager cleared his throat, straightened the papers in front of him. Which is why we're handling this carefully. But given the circumstances, the amount, the cash request, the lack of advance notice, I'm going to have to deny this withdrawal until we complete a full verification process. Silence filled the room. The security guards shifted slightly by the door. Keanu sat perfectly still. His hands rested on his knees, his breathing steady. How long will that take? 3 to 5 business days. We'll need to verify your identity, confirm the source of funds, and complete our due diligence. The manager spoke like he was reading from a script, like he'd had this conversation before with other, suspicious, clients. That's unacceptable. Keanu's tone hadn't risen, hadn't sharpened, but the words carried weight. I'm sorry, but that's our policy. For your protection and ours. The manager closed the folder, a gesture of finality. Decision made, end of discussion. Keanu leaned back in his chair. His eyes met the manager's directly. When he spoke, his voice was almost too calm. The kind of calm that comes before something shifts. Kyle, your regional director. The manager blinked, caught off guard. Excuse me, your regional director. Call them. It wasn't a request. It wasn't a demand. It was something else entirely. A certainty, a knowledge that this conversation was about to change dramatically. The manager's confidence wavered. Just for a second. Sir, I don't think that's necessary. I do. 2 words, spoken softly. But they cut through every excuse the manager was about to make. The manager looked at the security guards. They offered no help. Just stood there. He looked back at Keanu. At this man in worn clothes who sat with the quiet confidence of someone who knew something the manager didn't. Finally, the manager reached for his desk phone. His hand hesitated over the receiver. Then he picked it up, dialed. The ringing filled the small office. Once. 3 times. Yes, this is branch 47. I need to speak with Director Chen. A pause. It's regarding a high-value withdrawal request. Yes, it's urgent. Yes, I'll hold. Hold music played thinly through the speaker. Keanu sat motionless, his expression unreadable. The manager's finger tapped nervously on the desk. The security guards exchanged glances. 30 seconds passed. Then a minute. Finally, the hold music stopped. A crisp, professional voice came through the speaker. This is Director Chen. What's the situation? The manager's voice became more formal, more careful. Director Chen, thank you for taking my call. We have a client requesting a $1 million cash withdrawal. Given the unusual circumstances and security protocols, I've initiated our verification process, but the client has requested to speak with you directly. I see. What are the unusual circumstances? The manager glanced at Keanu, choosing his words carefully. The client arrived without appointment. No advance notice. Dressed casually. The amount is substantial, and we have standard flags on the account for large transactions. The manager took a breath. Keanu Reeves. Dead silence. Complete. Total. Silence. You could hear Director Chen's sharp intake of breath through the speaker. The manager's face went pale. Put him on. Now. The manager's hand trembled slightly as he slid the phone across the desk toward Keanu. His face had gone from confident to pale in a matter of seconds. The security guard stood straighter. Suddenly uncertain about why they were even in the room, Keanu leaned forward. Press the speaker button. This is Keanu. His voice was the same as it had been all morning. Calm. Unhurried. Like he was greeting an old friend. Mr. Reeves, this is Director Chen. I apologize profusely for this delay. Her voice was different now. Respectful. Almost urgent. Your withdrawal will be processed immediately. No further verification needed. Thank you. Is there anything else we can do for you today? Anything at all? There was genuine concern in her voice, the kind that comes from knowing a mistake has been made. A big one? No, just the withdrawal. Of course. And Mr. Reeves, she paused. Please accept my personal apology for any inconvenience. This should never have happened. I appreciate that. The call ended. The silence in the room was deafening. The manager sat frozen, his mouth slightly open, like he wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. One of the security guards cleared his throat uncomfortably. The other looked at the floor. Keanu stood slowly, smoothed out his jacket. He looked at the manager, not with anger, not with triumph, just with a quiet steadiness. I didn't realize. The manager's voice came out weak, almost a whisper. Keanu tilted his head slightly. You didn't realize what? That I was telling the truth. No answer. The manager looked down at his hands. Or you didn't realize that someone dressed like me could actually have money? The words weren't cruel. They weren't meant to wound. They were simply truth, plain and honest. The manager's face flushed red. We have protocols. Security measures. For people who don't look the part. Silence. Keanu picked up his backpack from where he'd set it on the floor. Prepare the withdrawal. I'll wait outside. He walked toward the door. The security guards stepped aside quickly, almost stumbling over each other to get out of his way. The manager remained seated, staring at the desk, trying to process what had just happened. Keanu returned to the waiting area, sat in the same chair he'd occupied before. This time things were different. Within minutes, Angela appeared with a bottle of water. Her hands shook slightly as she offered it to him. Mr. Reeves, I'm so sorry. Is there anything you need? Coffee, something to eat. Thank you. She nodded and retreated quickly. The manager emerged from his office, walked straight to the back area where the vault was located. Other employees had noticed the shift. Whispers spread through the bank like wildfire. That's Keanu Reeves. Oh my God, we made him wait. Someone called security on him. Faces appeared from offices. Tellers glanced over repeatedly. Everyone suddenly aware of who had been sitting in their lobby for the past hour. While they prepared the cash, Keanu made a phone call. He pulled out an old phone. Nothing fancy. Not the latest model. He dialed.
Waited. Someone answered. Hi. Yes, it's me.
His voice was quiet. Private, I have it. I'll be there in an hour. A pause. He was listening. No, it's fine. Everything's fine. Another pause. Tell her I'm on my way. And tell her not to worry. He hung up, slipped the phone back into his pocket. His expression had softened. Whatever that call was about, it mattered to him. It mattered deeply. 45 minutes later, the manager approached. He carried a black duffel bag. Heavy, the weight of it visible in how he held it. Mr. Reeves. His voice was different now. Respectful. Careful. Your withdrawal is ready. $1 million. We've counted it twice. All hundreds as requested. Keanu stood. Took the bag. Thank you. The manager extended his hand. Again, I'm terribly sorry for. Save it. Keanu didn't take his hand, not out of cruelty, but because some apologies are too late. Some mistakes reveal too much about who someone really is. He turned toward the exit. The entire bank watched him go. But Angela, the teller, watched differently. Something was bothering her. She'd seen the account, Seen the balance, 47 million. Why withdraw just 1 million? And why in cash? Why carried it himself instead of wiring it wherever it needed to go? What was so urgent that it couldn't wait for a transfer? Curiosity pulled at her. During her lunch break, she did something she probably shouldn't have. Something that could cost her job. She pulled up Keanu's transaction history again, scrolled through months of activity, and what she found made her heart stop, made everything suddenly make sense, and made her realize they hadn't just misjudged a wealthy client. They'd misjudged something much bigger, someone much better than any of them had imagined. Angela stared at her computer screen. Her hands trembled as she scrolled. What she was looking at didn't make sense. Not in the way most wealthy people operated. Not in the way she'd been trained to understand money. Over the past 6 months, Keanu's account showed a pattern. But not the pattern the manager had suspected. Not fraud. Not money laundering. Not anything criminal. Something else entirely. Transaction after transaction scrolled past her eyes. $2 50,000 to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Payment memo, anonymous donation, pediatric cancer research. $500,000 to Cancer Research Foundation, memo in memory of loved ones lost. The $100,000 to Los Angeles homeless shelters, memo, winter emergency fund. The $75,000 to a struggling movie crew member, memo, medical expenses, no repayment needed. $125,000 to a children's literacy program. The $90,000 to veteran support services. The $200,000 to animal rescue organizations. Dozens more, scrolling and scrolling, each one quiet, each one anonymous, each one money leaving his account to help someone else. No press releases. No tax write-off paperwork requesting publicity. No photo opportunities. Just money moving from someone who had it to people who desperately needed it. Angela's throat tightened. She kept scrolling, and then she saw it. A pending transfer scheduled for today. 100 million. Recipient Sunrise Children's Medical Center. Her breath caught. She clicked on the transaction details. A note was attached. For the pediatric wing renovation and emergency surgical fund. In memory of those we've lost. For those we can still save. Angela's eyes filled with tears. He wasn't withdrawing the money for himself. He wasn't buying something expensive. He wasn't investing in some business venture. He was hand-delivering it. To a hospital. To children. Because he didn't want to wait for wire transfers and processing times that could take days. Because somewhere, right now, a child needed help. And Keanu Reeves didn't believe in waiting when lives were at stake. She sat back in her chair, wiped her eyes quickly before anyone could see. Her mind raced, the way they'd treated him. The suspicion, the security guards, the interrogation, the disrespect. All because he wore old jeans and a worn jacket. All because he didn't arrive in a limousine. All because he didn't fit their picture of what wealth was supposed to look like. Angela couldn't let it go. After work, she did something impulsive. Something she knew was crossing a line. But she had to know. She drove to Sunrise Children's Medical Center, 20 minutes across town, through evening traffic, her heart pounding the entire way. She parked in the visitor lot, walked through the automatic doors into the bright, colorful lobby. Children's artwork covered the walls, butterflies and rainbows, handprints and dreams. She found the administrative office. A woman sat at the desk. Older, kind face, glasses hanging from a chain around her neck. "Can I help you?" Angela hesitated. I have a strange question. The woman smiled warmly. "We get those all the time. What is it, dear? Did a donation come in today? A large one?" The woman's entire face lit up.
Yes! Oh my goodness, yes!
She stood up, her hands clasped together. An anonymous donor just handed us $1 million. Cash. Can you believe it? In all my 30 years here, I've never seen anything like it. Angela's heart raced. "Do you know who it was?" The woman shook her head. "He didn't want credit. Refused to even give us his name. Just asked that we use it immediately for the surgical wing and for families who can't afford treatment." "Did he say anything else?" The woman nodded slowly, her eyes grew soft. "He asked about a specific patient, a 7-year-old girl named Emma. She has a rare heart condition, needs surgery desperately. The surgery costs $340,000. Her family's insurance won't cover most of it. They've been trying to fundraise for 8 months. Angela felt tears forming again. "What happened?" The woman's voice broke slightly. "He paid for it. All of it. The entire surgery. Then donated the rest to help other families in the same situation." She pulled a tissue from the box on her desk. 5 other children will get the surgeries they need because of what he did today." Angela sat down heavily in the nearest chair. Overwhelmed. "He just did that?" He did more than that. The woman pulled out her phone, turned it toward Angela. The photo showed Keanu sitting in the pediatric ward, surrounded by children in hospital gowns, reading a book to them, his face gentle. Smiling, some of the children were laughing. One little girl had her head resting on his shoulder. No cameras, no reporters, no publicist staging the moment, just him, being present, being human. He stayed for 3 hours, the woman said softly, talked to every family on the floor, listened to their stories, held their hands when they cried, played games with the kids who had enough energy. She wiped her own eyes. Some of them had no idea who he was. He preferred it that way. Angela couldn't speak. The woman continued. One mother asked him why he was doing this. You know what he said? Angela shook her head. He said, because I can, and because they need it. That's reason enough. Angela felt something break open inside her chest. Then her phone buzzed. A text from her manager. Need to see you first thing tomorrow. Regarding the Reeves incident. Her stomach dropped. She'd accessed confidential account information. She'd left work to track down a client. She'd crossed every professional boundary. Tomorrow, she might lose her job. But looking at that photo of Keanu with those children, she didn't care. Some things were more important than rules. Some truths needed to be known. Should Angela have looked into the account? Was it wrong? Would you risk your job to uncover something like this? When was the last time someone's kindness completely surprised you? The next morning, Angela walked into the bank with her heart pounding. She'd barely slept. Spent the night replaying everything in her mind. The transaction history, the hospital visit, the photo of Keanu with those children, and now, the consequences. The manager's door was open when she arrived. He sat at his desk, staring at his computer screen. He looked tired. Older somehow than he had yesterday. He saw her and waved her in. Closed the door. She did. Her hands were shaking. About yesterday, he began. I'm getting fired. She braced herself. I made a mistake. Angela blinked, confused. What? The manager looked up at her. His eyes were heavy with something she'd never seen in him before. Shame. I judged someone based on how they looked. I treated a valued client like a criminal. I called security on a man who's donated more to charity in a year than I'll earn in my lifetime. He paused. And worse, I made our bank look foolish. He slid a paper across the desk toward her. She recognized the letterhead. Corporate headquarters. Corporate called me at 6 this morning. They want a full report. Every detail. Every decision I made. They're furious. Angela's chest tightened. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause. No. He held up a hand. You didn't do anything wrong. I did. Silence filled the small office. Outside, the bank was coming to life. Tellers arriving. Computers booting up. Another day beginning. Mr. Reeves could have destroyed us. The manager continued. One bad review. One social media post. One interview about how he was treated. But he didn't. The manager leaned back in his chair, looked at the ceiling. Do you know what he did instead? Angela shook her head. He called corporate himself. Last night. Told them it was a misunderstanding. Said I was just doing my job. Asked them not to take action against me or anyone else. Angela's eyes widened. Why would he do that? The manager let out a long breath. I don't know. Grace, maybe. Or maybe he understands something about people that I don't. He stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city waking up. I've been in banking for 23 years. Worked with millionaires, celebrities, executives, old money, new money, every kind of wealthy person you can imagine. He turned to face her. Most of them demand VIP treatment before they even walk in. Red carpets, private offices, special privileges. They want everyone to know exactly who they are and how important they are. His voice grew quieter. Keanu Reeves has $47 million with us. $47 million. And he sat in our lobby for 20 minutes without complaining once. Didn't name drop. Didn't threaten. Didn't demand to speak to corporate. Angela felt a lump forming in her throat. What does that tell you? The manager asked. She thought about it. About everything she'd learned. That money doesn't define character. The manager nodded slowly. Exactly. Character is what you do when no one's watching. How you treat people when you don't need anything from them. How you carry yourself when you have every right to make a scene but choose dignity instead. He walked back to his desk, sat down. I'm changing our protocols. Effective immediately. No more profiling clients based on appearance. No more assumptions about who belongs and who doesn't. Every single person who walks through that door gets treated with respect. He looked directly at Angela, regardless of how they dress, regardless of what car they drive, regardless of what we think we know about them. Angela felt tears building. That's good. Add one more thing. The manager opened his desk drawer, pulled out his personal checkbook. I'm making a donation. $10,000 to Sunrise Children's Medical Center. It's not much compared to what Mr. Reeves gave, but it's a start. He began writing. Angela watched his pen move across the paper. Can I add to that? The manager looked up, smiled for the first time that morning. A real smile. I was hoping you'd ask. Over the next week, word spread through the bank. Not officially, not through memos or meetings, but people talked. They heard what happened. They learned who Keanu really was, what he'd been doing with his money, where that $1 million actually went. 12 employees made donations to the hospital, amounts ranging from $50 to $5,000. The bank itself established a matching program. For every dollar employees donated to children's hospitals, the bank would match it. It wasn't about publicity. It wasn't about tax breaks. It was about doing the right thing, because one man in worn jeans and an old jacket had shown them what that looked like. 3 weeks later, Emma's surgery was a success. The 7-year-old girl with the rare heart condition, she'd recover fully. The doctors said she'd live a normal life. Her parents cried with relief, held each other in the hospital corridor, thanked God and the universe and every force they could think of. They asked the hospital who paid for it. The administrative staff said it was anonymous. They never found out it was Keanu. And that's exactly how he wanted it. Because real generosity doesn't need recognition. Real character doesn't demand applause. Real kindness happens in the quiet moments when cameras aren't rolling. When no one will ever know. When the only reward is knowing you helped. That's enough. That's everything.